talks about perpendicular bisectors. And this combines two ideas that we've talked about previously, midpoints and perpendicular lines. So let's jump in, see how this looks. So on the do now, we had to make a line through this point 0, 1, and this is actually a perpendicular bisector. So let's talk about why that is. So a perpendicular bisector is a line, right, or segment that cuts another segment in half. So for example, Fi is the perpendicular bisector. So let me just draw this a little clearer. Fi bisects SH, right? SH is being cut in half. So this little symbol means this side of SH is equal to this side. Those two sides are equal, maybe like whatever, they're 3 inches and 3 inches. Just picking numbers to show you they're equal. And they are perpendicular, which means they cross at 90-degree angles here. All four of these angles are 90 degrees because those are perpendicular lines. So a perpendicular bisector is a bisector, which means it goes through the middle and cuts that line in half, and it's perpendicular. So quick question would be, is SH the perpendicular bisector of FI? So does SH cut FI in half? No. So the middle of FI would be somewhere maybe closer to here, right? If it went through here, then yes, it would be the bisector, but it's not the middle of FI, so no. SH is not the perpendicular bisector. But FI is the perpendicular bisector of SH. So we just want to check and make sure we understand that vocab. So then we try to practice problem. What is the equation of the perpendicular bisector of AB? Well, first thing you want to do is definitely find the slope of AB. So it's up 1 over 1, up 1, 2, 3, 4, up 4 over 1, 2, 3, 4, up 4 over 4. So the slope of AB, I'm just going to write this so I remember, is 1. Alright, so the slope of AB is 1. So the perpendicular slope, I'm just going to call it the perpendicular slope, is going to be negative, right? Change the sign, flip the fraction. 1 over 1 flipped is still 1 over 1, so it's negative 1. So we need to have a slope of negative 1 to get a perpendicular line. Now this is not the perpendicular bisector though, because it doesn't go through the middle. We also need to find the middle of AB. So we need two things, the perpendicular line and the middle. So if it was over 4, up 4, let's just go over 2, up 2. So we get this point here, so over 2, up 2, that would be the middle. And that point is 1, 2, down 1. So 2, negative 1. So the midpoint, I'm just going to write this down so I can remember. Midpoint is 2, negative 1. So we got the slope, we got a point. We can use point slope form. Y minus y1 equals slope x minus x1. Super helpful to use the point slope formula because we have a point and the slope. So let's fill in what we know. So y minus negative 1. Alright, that's going to turn to a positive 1. Remember, we switched the signs. So y plus 1 equals the slope, which is going to be negative 1, we said, of this line. And it's going to hit x minus, that point is 2 for the x value. So we have a slope of negative 1, down 1 over 1, boom, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1. Or you could go up 1, left 1, up 1, left 1. So here's our line. Here's our equation. That was terrible. Let me try again. There we go. Way better. That is the perpendicular bisector. It goes through the middle. It's definitely perpendicular. So we could do this a couple ways, but we could write this formula y plus 1 equals negative 1 x minus 2. So that's the correct answer. I don't think it'll graph this in this form though. So the other way you could do it is, that's the slope of negative 1 and the y-intercept is 1. So y equals negative 1x plus 1 is the y-intercept. That is the perpendicular bisector. We did it in point-slope form. You could also use the graph to help you get slope-intercept form. And if you wanted to convert, you could always solve for this. So take point-slope form. I'm going to subtract the 1 to the other side. I'm going to distribute that -1, so negative x. -1 times -2 is positive 2. And then I'm going to subtract 1 from the other side. 2 minus 1 is 1. So it's just y equals negative x plus 1. So yeah, we end up in the same spot if we just put this into slope-intercept form, or you could use the graph. Just wanted to show you all three ways. So the key idea here is a perpendicular bisector. You need the perpendicular line, so you need the opposite reciprocal slope, and you need to hit the midpoint. So two things we're looking for. Perpendicular bisector is two words, so it's easy to remember we need to do two things. So a quick example here. If we had QT, so Q's at -3, 3, so left 3, up 1, 2, 3, there's Q. Let's call that point Q. T is right 5, up 1. Here's T. Let's just connect them really quick, make it a segment. What is the equation of the perpendicular bisector in point-slope form? All right, so first, let's figure out the slope of QT. It's down 1, 2, down 2, right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the slope of QT equals -2 over 8. Could also simplify that. You could divide them both by 2, so -1 over 4. So that's the slope of QT. Cool. I'm going to get rid of that just so it keeps it neat. So the perpendicular slope is going to be the opposite reciprocal. So it's going to be positive, and I'm going to flip the 1/4. 4 over 1. No one really writes it like that. It's just positive 4. So we flip that fraction, change the sign. All right, so that's my perpendicular slope. So if I was thinking y minus y1 equals slope x minus x1, I just figured out the slope of this new line is going to be 4. Now, I got to figure out what point it's going to hit. So we know it's going to go through here, but it's got to hit the middle. So I need to find the middle. So it was down 2 over 8. I'm just going to go to find halfway. I'm going to go down 1 over 4 to find that middle. So here's the middle at 1, 1, 2. So 1, 2. Right? That's the point it's got to hit. So the midpoint is 1, 2. All right. I'm going to write midpoint so we don't get confused with slope. So let's plug in this point into our equation, and then we'll have the equation in point-slope form. So 1 is the x value, so we're going to plug it in here, so it becomes -1. 2 is the y value, we're going to plug it in here, so it becomes -2. So the equation of this perpendicular bisector is y minus 2 equals 4x minus 1, because this would hit that midpoint. And the slope would be up 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. Or you could go down 1, 2, 3, 4, left 1. So here's that line. It would go right through there. So it cuts QT in half. We see this half is equal to this half. So it definitely cuts in half. That's a bisector. Bi is cut. Sect is into two pieces. And we got 90-degree angles all over here. So it's definitely perpendicular. So we just figured out that perpendicular bisector. If they ask for the equation of point-slope form, right? The y-intercept is -2. So y equals the slope we said was 4x minus 2. So we could figure it out, right, using that graph. Here's the y-intercept. Another way to do it. All right, so now gone over a lot about perpendicular bisectors. Should be all good to do it on your own. Go to that cool down and give it a try.